Okay, Pokemon reaction and discussion done. World premiere gameplay. Sonic time! Wow.
First for the month of June 2022 is all about
that was
Sonic
a
Frontiers.
big old pan of the... Ooh. I saw a heart.
Who makes your first look at gameplay from Sonic Frontiers.
Ooh. God, this world's so freaking huge. Okay. Lightly gaining some speed. Camera looks really nice. What do the hearts do, though? What do hearts do, though? I'm so curious. Okay, stomp. Ooh, wait. Oh, wait. So, that's basically parkour. Yo, okay, parkour is basically back. What the heck are these? Now they got purple coins. Or these, like, tokens. He can run up walls and shit, though, like... It basically is parkour, but, like, a lot closer to how it was back in, like, the adventure titles. He can climb?! And run. He could climb and run. It might depend on the terrain, because you see the pattern. Yeah, you can walk slowly, you could go fast, too. Of course you could climb. I'm pretty sure this is like purposeful tiptoeing. God damn, this thing is so big. And this is to go back down. Really curious what rings will do. Yeah, boost this back. I was right about that. Are those orbs, too? Those could be the orbs I was talking about. Some of them might not even be hearts. Well, the one he just picked up looked more red. You got, like, a lot of robots and, like, stuff to explore. I wonder... What are, like, missions in this game? Like, what else is there to do besides, like, all these different rings and stuff and grind rails? Well, collecting all those hearts is definitely something. Oh my god, like, that's actually seamless. I'm thinking Lost Worlds parkour, but, like, this looks a lot more seamless and easier. Tricks? Wait, you could do tricks? Wait, dude. My god. Parkour's back. Thank God. I was kind of right about that, because I mentioned that in one of my past discussions on this game. I think tricks are in this game. Wow, dude. Wow. When's the last time we saw rain in a Sonic game, actually? Yeah, parkour's back. You could climb up walls. There's, like, actual platforming involved, basically. It looks like there's actual platforming involved again. And I don't just mean, like how, like, oh, you have platforming and colors in Lost World, though, so, like, that was an actual platform. But, like, I'm getting a better... Like, it looks like you get a genuine sense of control with Sonic in this game. Okay. That does not look slow. And it looks like you got some puzzles to solve, too. Oh, what the heck? Ooh, what is this? You don't fight like a boss there or something? There's a lot of markers here. Guys? I might be sold. Oh, man. Yeah, the set... Dude. Air boosting, air dashing! When's the last time... Oh... Guys, yeah, and, like, steep and, like, differing layers of terrain, like steep slopes and hills and shit, you run down that pretty seamlessly, too. And some of which you could just straight up run up even vertical towers with enough speed. That doesn't stop you at all. Like, parkour is back. Oh my god, I might be sold. I might be sold. I might be sold. Oh! Yeah, wow, wow. Did that, yeah. Did that in my head. Y'all don't care. Okay. What time am I reacting? It's like 1 PM as I'm reacting to this. You're gonna get a genuine discussion. I'm gonna be rewatching this a good amount. Wait, was that it? No! I want more! I want more! Oh, okay. I'll come back and, like, near instantly for you guys, but for me it's probably gonna be, like, a good couple hours. Oh, I'll be right back. Pump the brakes. We pumping the brakes. I rewatched the gameplay showcase several times now. I'm still rewatching it even as I'm making this discussion video on the matter. Been seeing all kinds of mixed opinions from many Sonic fans coming out of this premiere gameplay video from IGN. Many excited, many disappointed, a ton in the middle as well. And there are elements of the gameplay that do leave skepticism and cynicism to be had. I do think plenty of it is justified and fair, and we'll touch up on some of them soon. Personally speaking, there's a lot here I am gelling with relatively fine, and is making me more and more curious about the game. I don't think I'm highly sold on Forces yet after sitting on it more, but the more I'm seeing of this game, that cautious optimism on my end's leading gradually more and more towards that optimism. It would help if we got a demo at some point in the near future, or if the next showcase of the game will be done via a better showing of Sonic's moves, or him fighting more enemies and a boss, or something along those lines. Apparently we're gonna get another showcase Friday on Sonic's combat abilities, so that's already another huge drop coming. Many did note and feel the guy playing as Sonic in this June 1st movement, quote-unquote, showcase was poor in both skill and showcasing Sonic's own moves and such, what the general game will be like, and more of what the world is supposed to offer. But to me, that's also a decent cushion in all this. We're confirmed to be getting more information and details on this game throughout the month. Again, we're getting another video Friday. So we have plenty of time. They have multiple opportunities to show more, give us more to chew on, and see for certain how much better or worse this game will fare the closer we get to the holiday. I'll get to my own stance on the game in more detail in a bit, but also pitching out there, given that they're going to show off a lot more of this game this month, that speaks to me they're still going to aim for a 2022 holiday window for release. But listen, just taking another opportunity to suggest and be open to the idea. Sega Sonic Team, as if my word had that much sway and impact, I know it doesn't. Delaying it to polish the core and brush up any unpolished and rusty mechanics, moves, animations, puzzles, levels, and such. It's always a good idea and worth the consideration, especially when the time's well utilized towards that polish. The game doesn't always have to come out for the holiday. Might sound like I'm slightly joking to an extent, I'm not. I do think this game, from what we saw thus far, could benefit from a considerable delay, and as far as my own feelings and opinions on Frontiers so far, after watching this gameplay reveal multiple times and sitting on it for several hours, I have some critiques and worries about the game, but even with those that I'll explain later, I am looking forward to finding out more about the game. and am keeping more of an open mind about Sonic Frontiers until something big or major really sticks out to me. At the very least, my curiosity and intrigue on the game keeps rising. I do want to see more and more, and hopefully play Frontiers from a lot of the stuff I'm seeing. I'm not declaring, oh, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be so good, the best Sonic game or whatever. Yes, I remember 5 years ago with Forces. It has been 5 years since the last main 3D Sonic game too. Between that and Forces itself, more fans are a lot more harsh and cynical to Sega and Sonic Team, which I can't blame them. Some will bring up the idea of this being an early build or whatever to combat some of the criticism. Sunset Heights being first shown off was 8 months before Forces even came out. The stage was exactly the same when it released, and it got met with the same comments and claims despite it being the 15th stage in the overall game. With some elements of this game looking iffy and being 5 to 6 months out from supposed release, even if what we saw is an early build, that is not early enough for any major noteworthy changes that'll affect the core concepts and gameplay to any major degree. We waited 4 years after Lost World for Forces to be the way it is, and now if this game ends up sucking after another 5 years, no duh, there's going to be a lot of people upset, and rightfully so. Especially after Sonic Team claiming this is a high budget game they're aiming to please a ton of people with, alongside their lack of competence and consistency in both quality and developer makeup, to where plenty don't see the justification in giving Sega and Sonic Team the benefit of the doubt, especially when they haven't made a Sonic game worth playing and replaying to a majority of Sonic fans and general gamers in over a decade now, and especially off the heels of the Sonic 2 movie doing and being received very well, the comics doing very well, Sonic getting an animated show soon, Sonic Origins coming out soon too, and likely to rake in plenty of more older and newer fans into the series again. There's a lot. Riding on Frontiers is what I'm trying to say. If you're not as excited or optimistic, that's fine. Most of the cynicism and disappointment coming out of this, like with any other game, is no more or less valid and justified than most of the optimism and excitement one has for the game. But I'm anticipating Frontiers the more we see it. And with this gameplay showcase feeling a lot like a movement trailer, a gameplay trailer / showcase emphasizing Sonic's movement above all else, even when I do think this game could definitely use more polish, especially when this is supposedly a Sonic game trying to be of a AAA polish. This does look like a Sonic game I would enjoy so far. One thing I'll kick off is this Sonic is heavily derived from Forces Sonic. The model, the animations, the moveset, it's all ripped straight from Forces. The movement and animations from that model and Sonic, which already was very lacking in expression and animation in Forces, other newer animations as well, particularly the tornado move in the 30-second gameplay teaser looking choppy and bad, trick animations, grind rail switching, etc. Some general movement Sonic does as well, looking stiff and choppy because of the animations too, floor geometry and textures popping in even when 1 millimeter from the object and specific geometry in question. I'm personally looking out more for the gameplay mechanics, world traversal, platforming, exploration and such, more than anything else with this game so far, so the animations and certain graphical stuff is under my radar more than that. But especially with Sonic Team and Sega claiming this to be a high budget game, to where they're shooting for high review scores and whatnot, yet seeing so many assets and animations reused from Forces, even down to one of the bridges being ripped straight from Prison Hall from Forces 2. I do agree some of this game does look pretty rough. They could and should touch these up more the closer we get to release, and I'm finding that high budget claim pretty shoddy as well, factoring everything I just listed off. But with the gameplay stuff, the boost is back, Sonic can stomp, grind rail and such, but he can also air dash, I think. It didn't look the same as boosting midair like past games. Parkour along slopes and walls, and even towers and barriers with a particular turquoise crystalline pattern on them. Tricks are back. He can also climb as well, at least on that turquoise material I mentioned before, and he can double jump. Link punches and kicks onto enemies after a homing attack, and use that blue trail ability we saw since the first teaser to attack and disorient enemies caught within the trail shape into the air for a homing attack and combat rush combo of sorts. Your typical boost abilities are back, but also parkour from the adventure titles and Lost World, and it's definitely modified to be closer in line with how it functions in adventure, but we also see Sonic slowly walk and tiptoe around some of the world as well, not always blazing or gaining more and more speed as he walks as needed for puzzles, slower exploration bits and whatnot. That, and of course, we're getting a better sense of a fraction of the overall world we'll be exploring, which is already shaping up to be the most non-linear Sonic game seemingly. On the boost itself, I've mentioned before I do like the boost. I like Unleashed in Generations. And when programmed and tweaked enough, you can make boost work just as effectively in linear levels as you could in an open world. Plenty of fan projects and Sonic fan games like Green Hill Paradise and even Sonic Speed Simulator to an extent proved this upon other games. So the boost fully being confirmed to come back doesn't upset me as long as I know it'll function and benefit Sonic's moveset and speed in conjunction with how the world's designed. I'll bring up momentum in a second, but the boost is a style I do like, and when executed well with well-designed level/world geometry, you can make for a solid Sonic game. Throughout the gameplay, we see Sonic boost without a blue aura to gain speed, and near the end of the gameplay where he boosts through the forest, this is the only instance to where it gives the impression, but I'm led to believe momentum's in the game in some way, at least in the sense for when you go up and down slopes, because there's this structure a dozen of seconds prior to the forest part I described where Sonic boosts up an incline, but it's not that fast, yet him running along the grass and dirt boosting, and especially down the slope in the forest, is faster by comparison. Again, this is the only instance, so we may need to see more to say for sure, but I think momentum is in the game in some way. Maybe. That said, momentum would 100% benefit this game, regardless of Sonic's moveset. Between Sonic's core philosophy for gameplay and the type of game Frontiers is, momentum would be such a game changer if this game has it within Sonic and the game's core design at all. It doesn't help either with the early grind rail part, where Sonic just casually grinds up a rail, up the tower too. But back to the boost, it also seems modified to not having an aura so you get a better sense of your surroundings and frontal view, which I think works for this kind of game, alongside characteristically lending more to Sonic and his character, the whole free like the wind moniker he has too. Parkour was one of the bigger shocks to me. The fact that's back, in my opinion, is great. This game would benefit from parkour, and I'm glad it's closer to the kind of parkour Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2 has, so that sense of speed and running around can still be maintained generally throughout the game. That's the benefit with seamless parkour, and I'm glad that's present in Frontiers. On top of that, he can air dash as well. It could just be a simple air boost like boosting midair in previous games, but even with the lack of a blue boost aura, it didn't look the same as air boosting from past games, so I am curious with how that and boosting in general is going to work as well. And speaking of Lost Worlds, there is a lot of walking done in the gameplay too, and it's making me wonder if this game will have Lost Worlds gear and shift between walking and running, the run button from Lost World. If there's any button map to running or walking, I feel like there either is or there should be a walk button, not a run button, assuming they're revisiting that button scheme and mechanic. Otherwise, I would have to wonder what basic acceleration is going to be like for this game if it's going more traditional instead. And some have noted between the incline boost versus the slope boost, general speed, turning, platforming, even climbing, etc. I've said this plenty before, they really need to nail that control for the player for this game more than other Sonic games. Turning seemed okay from my view. Some noted it looked slightly stiff, but that's harder for me and others to pinpoint based purely on looking at the gameplay. Knowing whether or not momentum is in this game, like how I described 2 minutes ago, how air dashing will feel, boosting in general, how platforming, acceleration and such will feel too, I can't stress enough, above everything else thus far, that control and initial base statistics and physics for Sonic's speed and control within his moveset is super key for both a low-level entry point for everyone getting this game and its long-lasting appeal in the future. You make Sonic fun to control, fun to play as, and just move around with in this game, it's gonna keep players coming back if you give that satisfactory level of movement, control, and function. It's hard to say as a spectator at the moment until I play, but they have to nail that control above all else in my opinion. And next to that, it's having enough to do in this world too, providing a worthwhile incentive to keep playing and exploring. Between the controls and mechanics and the incentive to play around with and explore the world, that's the fun in the open world genre of games, and it's hard for me to say whether the developers found that target yet or not. There's a bunch of grind rails and platforming stuff to do everywhere. You also have collectibles in these purple coins, hearts, and spiky red orbs of some kind looking like tomato berries ripped straight out of Pokemon low-key, though we've yet to see what those do, what rings will do, whether contributing towards traditional Sonic health, traditional game health bars, currency, etc. Like, how much of this is going to lean into the open world style of games beyond the scope is another question. We're seeing it considerably with climbing, the little mini challenges and puzzles and such, with a lot of familiar Sonic elements in there too. But how much more is there to it is the question. Not only that, leaks and rumors surrounding this game, with each passing reveal and trailer, keep becoming more and more true and confirmed. Some of them described collecting orbs and XP of some kind to upgrade Sonic's abilities alongside a skill tree existing. I personally think a lot of, if not all of, the rumors and leaks surrounding Frontiers are true at this point, so would those be incentivizing enough for most players to explore and indulge in the world, regardless of the controls quality? Because another iffy thing is plenty of the platforming and puzzle challenges looked extremely basic, simple, and even automated in some parts, where Sonic obtains either the hearts, red orbs, or reaching landmarks. You have some variety, at least, in what kinds of puzzles and platforming you'll do. But if they don't get progressively harder the further you play, it's going to run into the same issue Super Mario Odyssey had, being so bloated in moons to collect, but the vast majority of them not just repeating multiple of the same objective multiple times, but also almost all of them being so simple, easy to get, and lacking in any considerable skill, knowledge, and extension of the game's deeper mechanics over 95% of the time. It becomes boring and less engaging after a while. Odyssey's a wonderful game, don't get me wrong, but if a lot of the platforming challenges and puzzles don't escalate to any considerable degree from what we saw, it does leave me a little worried for this stuff to do in the game not being worth going out to do, especially with some of them being very automated. Christ, man. The one thing people hate about the boost style, and especially colors and forces, with all the panels and auto sections they have, and have expressed that specific criticism for over a decade, even with the more beloved boost and non-boost Sonic games to much lesser extent, especially for this kind of game, they need to cool it with the automated platforming and level design. Not even just the rail grinding, but the platforming up the tower and around some sections in the gameplay. All the boost panels and red rings, like that's always been the one consistent criticism and one major flaw in a lot of 3D Sonic games the past decade plus. They need to cool it and tone down some of that automation. And going back to the overall incentive of exploration and stuff to do in general, that's not even accounting for whatever the main objective is for the game. If there are those cyberspace levels styled closer to Generations, if there are enough of those, or just 7 overall, and if they're designed closer to Forces or Colors levels, not Generations or Unleashed, those hamster wheels and some puzzles Sonic does that scan the section you're in of the world, will those act as Breath of the Wild's towers, basically? Fast travel, will that also benefit the incentive? Other collectibles like that egg-looking thing at the tail end of the gameplay? If there are, what kinds, and how many missions will there be in the game as well? It's probably a safe assumption with all the markers and the type of game this is, there's bound to be missions to do. And alongside, if there are upgrades and a skill tree, even marginally similar to Unleashed's upgrade system, anything along those lines, can you also upgrade Sonic's speed and physics, not just combat abilities too? Depending on how that can be integrated, that could also work as an incentive for the player to keep exploring and ramp up more speed, health, and other stats. A lot of this is very interesting stuff and ideas that could work for Sonic Frontiers, but a lot of it also boils down to us just needing to see more of the game and playing more to affirm whether they nailed it or missed the mark. And while plenty of this gameplay did answer some things and provide some good notes, it does add more questions as well, and I can definitely see why a ton of people are super split on this game right now. Graphically, at least, it seems like most are liking it, personally speaking. I love the art style. Graphically, this game looks perfect. It's that realistic style Sonic Unleashed went for to me. A lot of the details really pretty and good. Shading's good, lighting's good, the vivid colors, the saturation levels. Game's gorgeous. Game is gorgeous to look at. And I'm curious about the soundtrack too. Otani seems to be wanting to go hard on the soundtrack, even with the soothing piano ambient music in place, but it does its job in making you feel relaxed, soothed, immersed into the open, soothing nature of an open world. And obviously, personally speaking, narratively, nothing about the game strikes me as bad. Very curious for what the story will be for this game. We'll probably find out more about that in a week or two. Hopefully. Ian Flynn, don't disappoint, brother. We're going to keep getting more and more information and footage on this game in the coming weeks, days even, and we'll definitely get more answers and details soon that'll hold us over and give us definite proof whether you're for or against this game in any way. At least there's that going for this game, but on a personal front, the soundtrack seems pleasing so far. Graphics are amazing. The core design of the world itself is enticing and interesting. The style and concepts behind it and the gameplay do provide promise and seem fun, but between that, the animations, the puzzle and platforming design, and other unknowns surrounding this game between objectives, missions, story, combat that'll be answered in less than 2 days and more, it does leave me seeing this project as a little sketchy here and there, but if they're unloading a ton of info on the game very soon over the next 28 days, one can hope that leaves more hopeful implications. But even with all of this, above all else, the fact it is a Sonic open world game, and I can play this game with all this open space to roam around in, with all the mechanics and moves they showed off in any way and direction I want, is enough to leave a good amount of hopefulness and optimism within me. Even with some of the blemishes and unpolished gameplay bits and segments and whatnot, whether mechanical or the world/level/platforming design, I do genuinely want to play as Sonic and run around this giant open world. The way it looks thus far, to me, looks like it could be very fun doing some platforming, reaching high altitudes on landmarks, seeing far off landmarks in sections of the world, and wanting to either run down and go straight to them or jumping off and boosting along towards that section and make the rest of the trek on foot, parkouring up walls and whatnot, finding one-off puzzles and collectibles, whether on purpose or by accident. That's all stuff they're definitely going for with this game, and it's stuff I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, there's that potential issue of the game being potentially aimless if there aren't missions or enough missions and or enticing incentives to go out and explore and platform and such, but if the game has at least main objectives of some kind, and especially if the control's good, I feel like that's not only the bare minimum, but open world games thrive from that aimless element too. All of what I just described, minus any speed implications, is stuff people like to do in Breath of the Wild, Mario 64 and Odyssey, Grand Theft Auto, Elden Ring, etc. Clearing objectives in and out of order the game tells you to, letting you roam around these worlds and do tasks and such however you want, giving that player that much control and freedom to experience the game however you do it. That is a big appeal, and if Frontiers has a solid story and main objective, maybe all the platforming sprinkled everywhere could work, and if the designs of them and hidden levels and other challenges are better than what we expect, that could lend for some magical experiences for some people, believe it or not. I am hesitant and worried for Frontiers, but I am still hopeful, optimistic to some extent, and especially curious about the game the more we discover new details about it. And I think that's the most I can let out and analyze about the first gameplay premiere showcase. The next gameplay will be on the combat for the game, so you can bet I'll be back talking about that and bringing you more Sonic Frontiers content very soon, and more Sonic content period. Otherwise, let me know your thoughts on this whole Sonic Frontiers showcase down below, and tell me your stance on the matter, whether in a short sentence or an elaborate paragraph or two. Thank you for listening and watching, and stay super.
Ha!